Hi everyone, happy December. Welcome back to Uma's Lotus Lounge here live on Meet Me and on YouTube. Hi guys, so happy to have you guys here. Wow, we're finally at the end of the year and you guys are like probably tired of hearing me say at the end of a cycle because 2026 starts a brand new cycle and yeah. It's going to be, it's going to be fantastic or it's going to be crazy. Either or, it's going to be something. But here we are, and we're going to be starting a brand new cycle, brand new year in just 31 days. So welcome in. This is my featured show here on Meet Me. So happy to have you guys here. And tonight we're talking about something powerful, We're doing something soul level. It's called the December expansion. So this is the month I find out of all the months that is the most important time when your soul grows. It's the month where you integrate, hopefully, the wisdom of the past 11 months. And it can be the month where you shift timelines. December isn't the end, guys. It is the awakening. So let's begin by grounding into this energy with a mindful moment and some affirmations. Humor me, if you will. Close your eyes, take a nice deep breath in, and exhale. Now, for those of you that are watching live, you get to participate by saying hello to me in the comments. You will get your very own affirmation, but I do have an affirmation for the collective. Our affirmation for today, for this week, for this new month: I step into December open, aligned, and ready to expand. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. I step into December open, aligned, and ready to expand. Now, as you take this deep breath in, and as you exhale, let all of November go, all of this year, all of the things that have happened, and just allow yourself to be in this present moment. You have 31 days to wrap it up, right? 31 days before we start the new year. So say it again with me. I step into December open, aligned, and ready to expand. If you are welcoming expansion this month, drop a little expand in the group chat, all right? And receive that blessing. All right, I saw Kate Verde is in here. She said hello. Kate Verde, your affirmation is you are ready. Your intuition is always guiding you. Trust your decisions. Now, before we explore December's deeper meaning, let's take a look at the cosmic weather this week, because the sky is actually already preparing us for expansion, believe it or not. So I got us our weekly horoscopes for each sign, and I also got us our astrology for the week so you guys can know what's coming and be better prepared. This is for the week of November 30th to December 6th. Okay. And this week actually begins with Venus in Scorpio aspecting Neptune retrograde in Pisces. So that happened on Sunday. And this is the last degree of Scorpio. So it can bring a lot of endings to us shortly. Be prepared to let situations go, let people go, and embrace more favorable sentiments. So for those of you that are unfortunately on the receiving end of a breakup or ending things, I've seen, some people say they're leaving streaming. Some people are leaving jobs, leaving relationships. It is for your best and highest good. I know people are like, but Uma, I'm in pain and I don't want to deal with this. I get that. But sometimes endings, well, not sometimes, all the time, endings lead to new beginnings. So don't worry too much about the ending, guys. All right. That Venus in Scorpio, it's making people go deeper. Now, Venus also enters Sagittarius, allowing us to take more chances when it comes to romance, right? So some of you are probably taking that chance and asking somebody out, or, hey, let me get your number, right? Venus also connects with Pluto in Aquarius tomorrow. And that will give us the stamina and power to link up with others. But just be aware, because of this specific this transit, there might be jealousies that arise or conflicts if you let them, right? So if you find people are being shady towards you, or, you're feeling some sort of off energy, that could be why Venus connects with Pluto. Now, on December 4th, which is Thursday, on December 4th, we have a super full moon in Gemini. I mean, full moons are rough, right, guys? But a super full moon and in Gemini, have y'all met Gemini people? And not too much in Geminis, because I'm a Gemini moon, right? Yeah, you heard about that one? So it's, Gemini is all about communication. If you have Gemini aspects, like I'm not a Gemini sun, I have a Gemini moon. And I think that's what makes me such a great streamer, because I'm always talking, and I find Geminis are just great for communication. Right. And Kate Verde said, this is your moon, right? Super full moon in Gemini on December 4th. It offers us the opportunity to speak from the heart and to clear up any miscommunications from Mercury retrograde. Remember when we had that and that just ended? So I feel like those of us that are really in tune with our transits and our astrology, we might be having some really deep heart-to-heart conversations on Thursday. Let's see, let's see what comes up. Now, the sun in Sagittarius squares the nodes of destiny on Friday, December 5th, bringing us a chance to choose our new vision and path in life. So if you've already started thinking about that, then that's going to be great, because coming Friday, we're going to be considering, where we want to go in life. And, I've been seeing a lot of people leaving the streaming platforms, right? And I feel like it's the timing of it, because a lot of people are like, oh, I've kind of outgrown streaming, or I've outgrown this, so I'm ready for something new. And that also conjuncts with the fact that we have a new cycle starting in January, right? So just be aware of that. And on Sunday, December 6th, Mercury and Scorpio harmonize with Jupiter retrograde in Cancer, expanding our views and philosophies. So it looks like, just looking from the whole week, it looks like this week we're going to be letting go of things, detoxing, processing, and then by the weekend we're getting more into that like philosophical, existential, what am I doing? What am I here for? What's my purpose? That's what I feel is going to be happening this week. So that's the astrology for the week. Let's give you guys your horoscope, right? Your horoscope this week. So how many of you are in here want to hear your horoscopes? Put a 1 in the comments, right? And I like to have people put their signs in the comments because, because I feel like, we get to see who's the most vociferous of all the zodiac signs. And I have to say, usually it's big Capricorn, but usually it's the air signs. See, Gemini, Aquarius, right? Usually it's the air signs. I'm a Capricorn myself, so love to see it. All right, we're going to start with the baby sign of the zodiac, Aries, and move all the way through to Pisces. So pay attention, guys. This is your horoscope for the week. Aries. Luckily, most impending issues will be smoothed out when the sun makes favorable connections with the nodes of destiny. Before you get caught up in the week, be sure to send out a few texts to your nearest and dearest to remind them of how special they are to you. I have like an Aries mom and an Aries best friend, so I guess I'm expecting those texts, right? Okay, Taurus. This is an interesting moment that brings relief to personal frustrations and upsets. Think of it as a reset button. A loving bond with your pals can help you move forward. Also, pay attention to your beauty and self-care routines. Anything to help make you feel more confident in your own skin. That's for Taurus. Gemini. Gemini, it's an excellent week to schedule some time alone or even a therapy session to get everything all out in the open. Talking things out will not only help you resolve matters internally, but also serve as a stepping stone in evolving relationships in the right direction. You got this. Cancer. While the energy for the first part of your week should leave you feeling pepped up, there could be a slight dip in your endurance later. The ambiance could leave you a bit off kilter, manifesting in a surreal or even detached vibe. Rest up, Cancer. Leo. Listen to your needs and wants. It's not about what you were taught at a young age at all. Instead, you're finding the solutions in your own way and putting the energy out there to really manifest a long-awaited reality. It's a time when you should be selfish. Virgo. The energy will inherently boost your charisma, allowing you to feel more like yourself after an emotionally charged couple of weeks. At the end of the week, solar energy will flow to the North Node, allowing you to assess your dreams moving forward, while acknowledging how far you've recently advanced. Libra. You might be a bit disconnected, and a fog could begin to settle in your brain right now. Try not to lend your ear to any gossip during this time, as you're unlikely to get the actual story, and it could distort your perception of someone without any real cause. Scorpio. This is the perfect time to acknowledge your strength. The planet of communication, Mercury, brings a significant shift in its forward movement, changing the way you connect. People will be at ease expressing their emotions over the next weeks to you, so don't be afraid to share your sentiments too. Sagittarius. If there are elements of your verve you've been wanting to change, now is the perfect time to take steps in that direction. Even though life may be moving slowly, you'll want to take advantage of it, as matters will speed up in exciting ways when you least expect it. Capricorn. You'll feel more emotionally in control this week. Remember to set boundaries and take time for yourself when needed. As the week comes to a close, you may feel energized even with all the dramatic energy still lingering, so be sure to give yourself plenty of time to wind down. Aquarius. You may be confronted by conflict between your friends and that special someone. and it will be a delicate balance trying to manage the situation. The best course of action will be to let all of the people in your life know that you care about them deeply. Pisces, your week might not go quite as you expected, as the full moon caused disorganization. The vibe here will be erratic, and if your week involves a social gathering of sorts, getting everyone together could feel a lot like herding cats. But you'll succeed if you don't give up. So those are the horoscopes for the week. And don't worry, guys, if you are watching me live and you just came in and you missed your horoscope for the week, these are all uploaded to my podcast, to my YouTube channel, so you can find it and you can get your horoscope for the week. Or you can also go to today.com, where I got the horoscopes for the week. All right, before we dive into our December expansion talk, let's bring a little love and light to December. I have a couple of positive stories that you guys are going to want to hear. So thank you so much for being here with me. And can I share some positive news with you? Yes, no, maybe? All right, how about this? Did you know that in Mexico, they're ending all dolphin shows and returning 350 dolphins to the ocean? This historic decision highlights a global shift toward respecting and protecting wildlife. So there you go. Happy dolphins, right? Thank you, guys. They are returning the dolphins back to the oceans. I think that's amazing. Do you guys like that? That's good news, right? Thank you so much. All right. My other bit of news comes from Canada. Now, this is something interesting, and I want to know what your thoughts are about this. So I'm going to show you the picture first. It says Canada. See, it's going to be like a web thing. Canada just connected cities with quantum entangled internet, a network that cannot be hacked by any machine on Earth. What? So Canada has taken a major leap in the future by successfully connecting multiple cities through a quantum entangled communication network, one of the first real-world versions of a quantum internet. Unlike traditional cybersecurity systems that rely on encryption, this network uses entangled photons to share quantum keys. The moment anyone tries to intercept data, the quantum state breaks and both sides are alerted instantly, making eavesdropping impossible, even for supercomputers or advanced AI. What do you guys think about this? I immediately go to, my girls. They really are trying to get us to not snoop on these men, right? I mean, back in the day, we had the phone on the wall, right? And, you would kind of like pick it up quietly and just kind of listen in. And then, now we have, while they're sleeping, I don't know, what do girls do? They take their phone or use their fingerprint or something. I watch a lot of TikTok videos, if you can't tell, Right. So yes, government can't listen into. It's definitely a good thing, but I had to make a joke out of it because, it's supposed to be happy news. All right. And I have a story for you guys. And this is a really great story about a famous poet and the love of his life. And I wanted to share the story. It's a little bit long. It's maybe like 2 or 3 minutes, but bear with me because I wanted to share the story because I feel that a lot of people, especially as we get older, we struggle with love. We struggle with decisions. We struggle with making decisions as we get older, right? And I thought that this was a really beautiful story that I should share with you. Okay, it is about Elizabeth Barrett Browning. I don't know if you guys know about her. She's a poet. This is a picture of her, Elizabeth Barrett Browning, right? So I want to share with you this beautiful love story. Okay. Her father forbade any of his 12 children to marry. She married in secret. This is London 1840s. Elizabeth Barrett was 39 years old and dying, or so everyone believed. For years, she'd been trapped in her room at 50 Wimpole Street, an invalid confined to a sofa, surviving on morphine and laudanum. Her spine had been damaged in a horse accident at 15, or maybe it was her lungs or her nerves. The doctors could not agree, but they all agreed she wouldn't last much longer. Her father, Edward Barrett Moulton Barrett, controlled everything. A tyrant whose wealth came from Jamaican sugar plantations built on slavery, he ruled his 12 children with absolute authority. His most rigid rule: none of them were permitted to marry, ever. He never explained why, he just declared it, and that was enough. So Elizabeth wrote poetry instead. Extraordinary poetry that made her one of the most celebrated poets in England, more famous at that time than Tennyson. But she wrote it from a prison of silk and morphine, watched over by a father who loved her brilliance but refused to let her live. And then a letter arrived. "I love your verses with all my heart, dear Miss Barrett," wrote Robert Browning, a younger poet whose work she admired. She wrote back. That single exchange became 574 letters over 20 months. Robert wrote to her constantly, passionate, philosophical, playful letters that treated her not as an invalid, but as an equal. As a woman whose mind was as alive as her body was supposedly dying, he asked to visit. She refused. She was too ill, too reclusive, too ashamed of her weakness. He persisted. When they finally met in May 1845, something shifted. Robert didn't see a dying woman in a darkened room. He saw Elizabeth, brilliant, fierce, and trapped. He saw someone who needed to be freed. He proposed. She said it was impossible. Her father would never allow it. And even if they could escape his control, she was too sick to be anyone's wife. She'd be a burden, a responsibility, a tragedy waiting to happen. And Robert's response: "You are the strongest person I know." They began planning in secret. On September 12, 1846, Elizabeth Barrett walked to St. Marylebone Parish Church with her maid. Robert Browning met her there. They married in an empty church with only 2 witnesses, and then Elizabeth went home. She walked back into 50 Wimpole Street, ate dinner with her family, went to her room, and acted like nothing had happened. For a week, she maintained the fictional, the dutiful invalid daughter, too weak to leave her sofa. And then one night, she simply left. She took her loyal spaniel Flush, a few belongings, and Robert Browning's hand. They crossed the English Channel and disappeared into Europe. Her father disowned her instantly. He returned all her letters unopened. He never spoke her name again. When she tried to reconcile years later, he refused. But Elizabeth, she discovered she wasn't dying after all. In Florence, something miraculous happened. The sun, the warmth, the freedom from her father's house, and Robert, who treated her not as fragile porcelain, but as the warrior she'd always been. Her health improved dramatically. The woman who'd been bedridden for years began walking, traveling, living. In 1849, at age 43, an age when doctors had long since written her off, she gave birth to a son. Robert Wiedemann Barrett Browning called pen. And she wrote. God, did she write? Sonnets from the Portuguese became some of the most famous love poems in the English language, not because they were sweet, but because they were true. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I love thee to the depth and breadth and height my soul can reach. These weren't poems about being rescued. They were poems about discovering she never needed rescuing, just freedom. Elizabeth didn't just write love poetry. In Italy, she became politically active, passionately supporting Italian unification. She wrote Casagiti Windows about Italian Revolution. She wrote The Runaway Slave at Pilgrim's Point, a searing anti-slavery poem, despite her family's wealth coming from plantations. She was considered for Poet Laureate, nearly unheard of for a woman. Robert never overshadowed her. He celebrated her work, championed her voice, stood beside her as an equal partner in art and life. 15 years. They had 15 years together. 15 years she was never supposed to have. And on June 29th, 1861, Elizabeth Barrett Browning died in Robert's arms in Florence. She was 55. She outlived every doctor's prediction by decades. Her father had died 3 years earlier, still refusing to forgive her. But Elizabeth had stopped waiting for his forgiveness long before that. Elizabeth Barrett Browning proved that sometimes the illness isn't in your body, it's in the cage you are kept in. That the most radical act can be simply choosing to leave. That love isn't about being saved, it's about being seen as you actually are and choosing to live accordingly. She walked out of her father's house at 40 years old, supposedly too sick to survive without his protection. She lived another 15 years, traveling, writing, raising a child, changing literature, supporting revolutions. The most dangerous thing her father ever told her was that she was too weak to survive without him. And the bravest thing she ever did was to prove him wrong. I chose this story because so many of us, once we hit our late 30s, our 40s, our 50s, our 60s even, we say, we're too old to start over, to start something new, to become successful, to find the love of our life. And then there's those of us that are still looking for love and disillusioned. Can anyone really love me? Can anyone truly see me? And that story was written so long ago, but it's eternal. Because the truth is, when you find your person, when you decide to walk out that door of your own prison, whatever that prison is, love will find you and life will find you too. All right? So that is my positive news for the show. Self-awareness comes too late in life. Could be, or it could be that self-awareness comes right when you need it, right? So let's dive into tonight's theme. The December expansion, why your soul grows the most in the last final 30 days of a year. You know, have you guys ever thought about that? What do you do with your energy in December, right? December can be a spiritual mirror. If you take the time to process how this year went, right? Everything you learned, resisted, avoided, healed, transformed, everything in 2025 comes up for integration now. And that's why December can feel emotional. It can feel nostalgic. And that's why December's feels like endings and beginnings happening at the same time. December is where your soul catches up to the story. So December can be a month of integration. This is where the lessons finally make sense. All year you've been moving. December is the month to slow down and understand. You can see patterns now. You can recognize what you're done with and what you're ready for. December can clarify your identity, because the version of who you were when you entered 2025 is not the version of how you're leaving it. December shows you who you have become. As I'm saying these things, as you're thinking about this, what comes up for you, right? What comes up for you? Are you realizing, wow, I am now more? What is that, right? Feel free to drop it in the comments. If January is the doorway, December is the key. The energy you end with is the energy you begin with. So expansion this month, it's not about hustling more. It's not about buying more, right? It's about becoming more. This is not hustle expansion. This is soul expansion, a widening, a deepening, a rising, right? So this month, don't rush. Don't push. Don't force. Honor your energy and let December show you who you are becoming. I'll say this. My son is home from college. I have one of them home from college. And today we were talking about, okay, you're here for 6 weeks. What does life look like now? Because we have you, we have me, we have my partner. What's our schedules like? You know, he's a Virgo, I'm a Capricorn. We love our schedules, right? And we're working it out. And it's really cool how we're just kind of going with the energy and not feeling the rush to do anything. We were like, yeah, you know, this week we're going to get the tree, we're going to decorate, but we're going to do it in our own time, right? Like instead of rushing, oh, we got to get it all done today in these 2 hours. You know what? Today we could put up the tree. Tomorrow we could put up the lights. The next day we can do the mantelpiece, right? It's about just kind of going with the flow and easing into it. By Friday, we're going to have everything done, but we're going to do it in our own timing. And I think that's part of my expansion and part of my growth. If you guys are looking for your growth, tell me what you're realizing. What is speaking clearly to you, right? For me, it's about honoring my energy and just following the energy. All right, now it's time for us to get into our taroscopes. Thank you. Our taroscopes for the day. Now, remember, if you are watching me live on Meet Me, you can get your own taroscope message for the week. You don't have to depend on what is the one for your zodiac sign, because you can spin a wheel. If you spin a wheel, it's a 1K wheel. You can get your very own message at the end of the show, okay? And before I get into giving our taroscopes, I think I'd like to give us, the collective community, a message for everyone. You can if you want to. If you want, you can do a wheel to ask a question. Yeah, I just do like general messages for the week, but you can use it for a question. All right. So our message for the collective is: make a plan. Now is a perfect time to commit to new goals. Yet the truth is you'll need more than wishful thinking, fantasizing, and visualization if you want to successfully realize these goals. In order to be successful, you need to create an organized step-by-step plan for success. First, name your desires and then honestly assess if you have the necessary skills to achieve them. If not, then get clear on what you must do to further your skills. The way to success is to simply do the next thing. What's the most immediate next thing you must do in order to move towards your dreams? Do that. Your divine energy is calling you to take responsibility for your desires by establishing a realistic plan of action to bring them about. Listen, as a Capricorn, you are not going to get me disagreeing with any of that, okay? Because, you know, I love plans. I love making plans. What can I say? So that is our collective message for everyone from Spirit Guides. Make a plan. All right, now we're going to get into our messages for each of the zodiac signs. So we're going to start with Capricorn. Let's see. What is the message for Capricorn this week? All right, Capricorn, we get Queen of Air. Yep. This is about being more logical, analytical than emotional. You know, the Queen of Air is someone who's experienced, she's witty, she's sarcastic maybe, but she's you know, she has a good head on her shoulders and she thinks things through. And you get Nine of Water, Capricorns. Nine of Water is about dreams come true, wishes come true, concerns fading away. So I feel like this week you're just in go mode, right? Capricorns, you're in go mode. You're like, I'm ready to just put things, thank you. I'm ready to put things into play. I'm ready to, you know, get like everything in order. And, you know, Capricorns, like I said, they love getting organized, right? So I feel like this week you're moving closer to your goals. Nine of Water is dream come true, wishes come true. Queen of Air is like making a steady path towards those goals. So you're going to see some really great things happening this week, Capricorn, because your intent and your focus is spot on. So things will develop for you. Okay. Thank you, Cape Verde. You will be getting your own personal message after the horoscopes. All right, Taurus. Taurus, be careful that you're not overworking yourself, right? 10 of Fire is all about, you know what's crazy? I'm doing this show and my son's a Virgo and he's vacuuming his room right now. Can y'all hear him? It's like such a Virgo thing to do, right? Like in the middle of the day at 5:42 p.m. Right. I'm just going to go vacuum my room when mom does her show. I love it. That way you guys can see, not like everything is planned, right? All right. 10 of Fire is about overwork and being too busy. So I feel like Taurus, you have to be very careful, but Page of Fire talks about some sort of new opportunity coming in, right? So I feel like for some of you, Taurus, you started something new that's making you so busy. And it's like a busyness that you have to be careful about though, because if you don't take care of yourself, then things can get really bad. It's like this kind of card says you can have like stress related health concerns. So that's the one side of Taurus. And then the other Taurus is you guys are working hard towards an opportunity. It hasn't come in yet, but you're working hard towards it. And I feel like this is a message from your spirit guides to just make sure you have some self-care practices going on this week. All right, Taurus? Schedule that massage, schedule that Reiki healing session, or just even take a bubble bath, but just don't overwork yourself. All right, Virgo. Virgo, you get 8 of Water, right? This is about a desire to move on, spiritual and emotional growth. And the Empress, this is about creating your dream, giving birth to your dreams, creating. It's also about like self-care as well, because the Empress is all about like nurturing yourself, nurturing others. So Virgo, I feel like you're going to be taking care of yourself this week, you know, and the 8 of Water is like moving on from unhealthy, unhappy situations. So I feel for you, Virgo, like whatever it is that you're moving away from, you're also taking care of yourself. You guys are like really good with it, is what I have to say about Virgos, right? They're like, okay, I'm going to move on from this traumatic experience and I'm going to get a facial mask while I'm at it, right? So I feel like that's the message for Virgos is move on from the things that are unhealthy, that are toxic. And then also you're giving birth to your dreams and you're also taking care of yourself. All right. Those are the earth signs. Let's look at the fire signs. We have Aries. Aries, Ace of Earth. You got money coming in this week, right? But Seven of Fire is about boundaries. So I feel like Aries, you have to be careful because you're up leveling, you're advancing, but at the same time, you have to put your boundaries up because people are coming for you, right? So with the Seven of Fire, you're being asked this week, Aries, to defend your beliefs and decisions, but also choose your battles wisely, right? Don't fight everybody, Aries. We know you can take them, but don't fight everybody. You just need to focus on the battles that are important and you need to make a stand, right? That's for Aries. All right, Leo. Leo, you have a really fast moving week and you're just having the time of your life. Eight of Fire tells me that there was delays, but those delays are gone and the energy is just moving quickly now. And then Nine of Earth tells me this is like successful self-employment, spending quiet time alone, enjoying life. Leos are like larger than life. So I feel like you're having a great time this week because as things pick up and as the energy is moving, you're also like enjoying it. You're not like, it's where, where is it? So I feel like with the Leos, you guys are just having a great week and whatever delays were happening, they're over now and you guys are going to be having a great week. I really don't know how else to sum that up. All right. Did you put it in the group chat, Artman? Sorry. Artman took my 34.9, y'all. And on Meet Me, we have this tradition where if someone takes your point, they have to give you a name. And I can't wait to hear what my name is. So I cannot wait to hear what my name is. We're steadily on the climb to 35 milli. So I'm excited to see what it's going to be. Oh gosh, it's funny. Okay, I can't wait. I can't wait to check the group chat and see what it is. All right, that is for Leos. Sagittarius, here we go. Sagittarius, you are in your element, Sag. You got Queen of Fire, right? That is you being confident. You're the fire sign. You're brass, you're sassy. And because, we're in Sagittarius season. So that's why the Sag is like, I can do bad all by myself. But we also get the World card. You're completing a cycle and you're happy about it. So if you're walking away from people or situations or things that you were doing and you're not feeling it anymore, that's because you're being birthed into a whole new cycle. So Sag, you're feeling very confident this week. I wouldn't be surprised if you started entertaining like ideas about how you can elevate your life or what else you can do. You're just on this other level. So don't get too hung up on what you're letting go of, right? Keep looking forward, Sag. That's where your energy needs to be. All right. So that is the earth signs. That's the fire signs. I owe Artman a reading. I owe Cape Verde a reading. Thank you for the wheels. Appreciate it. Let's go to the water signs. Okay. So we're going to start with Pisces. Pisces, you're struggling a little bit this week. We have 5 of Earth. I think you probably overspent this Black Friday, huh, Pisces? So this is worries about money. This is insecurities about finances. But you also have Ace of Fire, which talks about career advancement and new opportunities coming in. So I feel like don't stay too focused on what you spent. Again, that's the past, right? Focus on resetting your energy because there's a new opportunity that's trying to reach you. And you want to be in that space to receive it. So don't look backwards. Same message I gave to, Leos? Don't look backwards. Look forward because you have some good news coming in as well. All right? Cancer. Cancer, you are having a great week this week. The Emperor, you're getting organized about your life. Kind of feeling like the Capricorn energy reading here, right? So Timbo said his Pisces brother bought a 3D printer. Yeah, I think they overspent. I feel like the Pisces overspent and they're kind of regretting it now. But tell them don't regret it. You have new opportunities coming in. It's going to work itself out. Now, Cancer, the Emperor says it's time to get organized, discipline, you know, schedules. Schedules is what I'm hearing. But also too, it like lines up with the end of the year. Cancer, you know you're a very sentimental person, but you got to start taking stock about how this year went, what worked, what didn't work, and start making sense about out of it, right? 10 of water tells me that your family life is good or it will be good. So if you've been having any sort of disagreements, right, or anything with your family, with a loved one that you're in a relationship with, we can see amends being made this week, Cancer. Okay? Amends being made. So it looks good for you this week, Cancer. All right, let's look at Scorpio. Scorpio. Wow, you are just winning this week, Scorpio. The Awakening card tells me that you're looking at things from a different perspective, right? That's why we always have like the angel hanging upside down. In traditional tarot, this was the Hanged Man. So the idea of the Hanged Man is like he's upside down, he's looking at the world differently. So Scorpio, you're going to have like an awakening moment this week. And for some reason, I feel like it's around that full moon, that super full moon that's happening on Thursday in Gemini. Because, you know, Gemini is the opposing sign to Sagittarius. We're in the month of Sagittarius. And I just feel for some reason that's going to have an effect on Scorpios, right? So I feel like with the Six of Fire, this is a card that says victory. Victory is yours. So Scorpio, I feel like there's something you've been struggling with. And the reason why you've been struggling with it is because you've been looking at it the wrong way. This week, you find a better way to look at it and just immediately everything just pops. And it's like, oh, now I know what to do. And you're going to do it. You're going to do it. And it's going to work out really well for you. Okay? That is for Scorpio. All right, my last group of signs. I always leave the best for last. It's the air signs, Aquarius, Gemini, Libra. And yeah, if you guys are now coming in and you missed any of this, it is uploaded to my YouTube channel. But you can also, if you're on Meet Me, you can also get your own reading about how this week is going to go. Just spin a wheel and I'll add you to the list. I have 2 people on the list for readings. Okay, here we go. Aquarius. Right. Aquarius, you are saying goodbye and saying hello. 5 of water is usually like my breakup card, but it doesn't have to be like, if you're not in a relationship, it doesn't have to be a breakup. It could be a moving on kind of situation, right? I feel like concerning a person or a group of people or even a thing, it did not go the way you wanted it to go. And it's caused you some upset. But your spirit guides are saying you're not seeing the positive in this situation, right? So you have to like look at this from a different perspective, kind of like Scorpio has to, right? And you get the 4 of fire, which is contentment, peace, abundance, which I actually nicknamed my marriage card. So look at this, Aquarius. You got, now these are the nicknames I have for these cards. You got the breakup card and the marriage card, right? Together. What does that tell you? It tells you that whatever it is that you're saying goodbye to or you're saying no to, the exact opposite is about to come into your life and possibly this week, right? So no tears, no crying over spilt milk. Whatever didn't work, didn't work. Let it go, right? And then trust that what's coming in is even better. And you could probably see that as soon as this week. That is for Aquarius. All right, Gemini. Gemini, you have blessings upon blessings upon blessings this week. Wow. 6 of Earth. I call this my reciprocity card. So this is the card that talks about like as you give, you get back. And I feel like you're just giving and giving and giving this week, Gemini. And you're going to be receiving and receiving and receiving. So Gemini, you can expect gifts of money, time, effort, new career opportunities. If people owed you money, you can expect them to pay it back, right? In streamer language, if you spun 100 wheels on somebody, They could be coming back with 95, right? But actually with this card, it's like they're coming back with 120, right? It's like a expanded way of the universe just blessing you and giving back to you. And you also get the Two of Water card, which is my soulmate card, right? And look at that. My soulmate just walked into the room. Isn't that crazy, right? And he's a Gemini rising. You guys can't, whoa, pause on the hot dogs. But you guys can't make this up. I'm talking about soulmates, and here comes my soulmate sending me gifts, spinning wheels, and he's a Gemini rising. And it's a bonus on the wheel too. Look at that. So yeah, Gemini, and you know, he's a Gemini rising, I'm a Gemini moon. So there's a lot of Gemini energy here. Relationships grow deeper this week for Geminis, right? This is soulmate love. This is if there was any conflict, this is positive resolution of conflict. But for those of you that are single Geminis, you guys could be meeting your soulmate this week as well. So stay tuned. And finally, Libra. Libra, wow. You are winning. Now, Libra is the last of the air signs, and the air signs tend to go negative sometimes because they overthink. They think a lot, right? They're always thinking. So the 8 of air is like an illusion of feeling trapped. Libra, you may have been feeling trapped. You may have been feeling constrained, but the King of Earth. Now you see this king, he's just chilling, right? Because the King of Earth talks about a successful time coming in. Confidently accept opportunities that are offered to you. You have the Midas touch. Everything you touch turns to gold. So I feel like Libra, your mindset may have had you trapped. But the King of Earth says you have opportunities that God himself cannot deny you. Work on those opportunities. You know, I heard something interesting today. They said that if you do an experiment where you put an ant on a paper and you draw a circle around the ant, do you know that the ant will continue to circle within that circle and it won't stop circling? Even though it's just you drew a circle around it. And then if you make the circle smaller and smaller and smaller, the ant keeps circling smaller and smaller and smaller. Now here's the trick about this. One time, thank you. One time they did this with a spider too, you know, ant, spider, whatever. And one, they drew it around the spider. The spider was walking around in the circle, and by mistake, he crossed the line. And once he crossed the line and realized nothing could be done to him, he ran. And they could not stop this spider. They kept trying to draw circles around him, but they could not get that spider to stay within the circles. So what does that tell you? Right? It tells you that it's your mind. Your mind puts the circle. This is where you can stay. This is where you're safe. This is where life is. But if you decide to take a chance on yourself and step outside of that circle, life begins, right? Life begins. So Libra, that was my long message for you. Step outside of the circles you have created. All right. So those are all the messages for all of the zodiac signs. I'm going to get ready to do some of these readings now for Artman, Rose, Cape Verde. Anybody else spun any wheels? I think those are the only 3 people that spun wheels. Yep. I'm going to do messages for those of you that spun wheels. And for everyone watching on YouTube and listening on my podcast, thank you so much for tuning in. I've been watching my downloads go up every week. For those of you that tune in and listen to the messages, please, if you can, hit a like on my video, drop a comment. I do appreciate your support. I do this for free, just because I love, you know, bringing peace, love, and joy to everyone, you know. So that's how I use my streaming, is to bring positive vibes, and any support you guys give me, I truly, truly appreciate. So thank you guys for coming, and I will see you soon.